Bred to Win, brought to you by Inglis Digital, the tried, trusted and reliable market for online sales.
I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to Bred to Win, coming to you right on the cusp of spring, updating you on the latest news from the thoroughbred breeding world and profiling studs and their stallions and mares destined to produce the racetrack champions of the future. This week, the first of our newly arrived imported stallions, Lope De Vega, a magnificent specimen of a racehorse and the first major winner for the rapidly expanding Yulong Farm. Bred to Win's great sponsor, G1 Goldmine, is a revelation for thoroughbred breeders with so much statistical information available to help pick the right stallion for your mare. We hear from Matthew Ennis about how you can best utilise the service this season. Plus, Widden Victoria's Phil Marshall with a wonderful son of the great dancing brave in Arrowfield Studs, the horse who made you love racing. That's all coming up, but first, the latest from the breeding industry in the Aushorse news of the week. With stallions beginning their work for the new season this week, Thoroughbred Breeders Australia and the various state bodies are calling on all breeders and horse transporters to make sure they have their COVID protocols in place. Not only to assist the industry in keeping going through the pandemic, but also to protect the health of stud staff and their families and those living in our rural regions. TBA has liaised constantly with federal and state governments to allow the breeding industry to continue its work, but it's vital everyone is aware of the current regulations on transport. You're urged to use professional horse transporters, but also be aware that to gain the freight permit system for travel in some states, you must have a gross vehicle mass of over 4.5 tonnes, meaning some horse floats cannot pass between states. You can look on the Thoroughbred Breeders Australia website for all the detail and ensure the industry's viability and the health of its workers are not put in jeopardy this breeding season.
I'm selling him for $610,000.
And it's Deep Blast who now takes over.
With last year's sales topper now named Deep Blast, already a winner in Victoria just last Friday, Inglis has put together a 185 lot catalogue for the October 12 ready to race sale at Warwick Farm in Sydney, describing it as the strongest they've held. The sale will feature 2-year-olds by exciting first crop sires such as Merchant Navy, Almanzor, Russian Revolution, Pariah, Invader, Impending and more, as well as by all the best proven stallions. Inglis Ready to Race has developed a great reputation for on-track success, with graduates from last year's sale alone already counting amongst them Lightsaber, who won the Group 2 Victorian Sires Produce Stakes, and Adelaide 2-year-old stakes winner See You in Spring. The catalogue is online through the Inglis website, or you can contact Inglis for a hard copy, and we'll have further previews of the sale in coming weeks on Bred to Win. The owners of the wonderful Winx have announced she'll visit Piero at Coolmore Stud this season after losing her first foal last year. The $26 million earner by Street Cry matches beautifully to the champion 2-year-old son of Lonhro, with Piero already the sire of 6 individual Group 1 winners. Sadly, Winx's greatest fan, Nini Conallin, this week lost her decade-long fight against cancer. Having rugged the great mare through her unbeaten run and openly educated the world about her condition through social media, Nini earned an enormous following, and her passing at the age of 44 has caused great sorrow within the racing and breeding industry, not only in New South Wales, where she worked for the Australian Turf Club, but right around the world. We will all miss the beautiful, bright, wonderful Nini, and our thoughts are with her husband Murray and her family.
Behemoth, 100 metres to go. A length Bo Rossa to Fade.
To the weekend's racing, and all too hard, son Behemoth made it back-to-back wins in the Group 1 Memsie Stakes at Caulfield, with Adelaide Spring Stakes Quinella with Bo Rossa repeated in elite company. Behemoth was bred by Walling's Bloodstock, the family business of Tyrrell studs Linda Mons, and was a $120,000 Inglis Great Southern weanling, then a $6,000 Magic Millions yearling. His dam Penny Banger was a stakes winner in Melbourne by Zedrich, and his sire All Too Hard, a 4-time Group 1 winning half-brother to Black Caviar. All Too Hard is having a standout year at Vinery Stud with a number of stakes winners, including Demonetisation and his Group 1 Surround Stakes winner Forbidden Love. Vinery this spring is welcoming the first foals by their Coolmore Stud Stakes winner Exceedance, with the son of Exceedant Excel really letting down into a stunning stallion going into his second season. This is a 2-day-old filly from Leica's Lass, a 3-time winner from the family of Australian Guineas winner Light Fantastic and New Zealand Derby victor Leica Gov. The Inglis late August sale was topped by So You Think's dual group-winning daughter Fasika, with Suman Hedge outlaying $920,000 before sending her to champion Australian stallion Written Tycoon at Yulong Farm this season. And while we'll feature Yulong's first international Group 1 winner Lucky Vega shortly, Yusheng Zhang had further European success in Ireland on Friday, with Galileo's Magical Lagoon winning the Group 3 Flame of Tara Stakes for 2-year-old fillies at the Curragh. She beat another daughter of Galileo, Al Bulla, who's from the Australian Keith Nolan Stakes winner Dawn Dawn by Fastnet Rock.
Mars Crusader late, Oxley Road at the 100.
The Inglis Graduates of the week are plural after Inglis sold horses won 4 of the group races on offer on Saturday. Several featured in our yearling sale previews, including the exciting Masked Crusader, who was a Group 3 winner of the Heath at Caulfield. By Swettenham Stud's Toronado from the recently lost She's Got Gears, Masked Crusader was previewed at Gilgai Farm, ahead of the 2018 Inglis Premier Yearling Sale, where he sold for $340,000 to Hawkes Racing and Cameron Cook Bloodstock. Another group winner on the program was 2020 Inglis Premier Yearling Sale topper Bruckner by 4-time champion Australian sire Snitzel from the Lonhro mare Jester Jingle. He went through the Inglis Oakland sale ring in Melbourne, being sold for $725,000 to Aquis Farm, after being one of the most popular yearlings in our Premier Sale preview last year as part of the elite Blue Gum Farm draft.
In the Congo, Paulele the outside.
And at the Rosehill meeting at Kembla Grange, south of Sydney, 2 of the features went to blue-blooded Inglis Easter Yearling Sale graduates. In the Congo won the Group 3 San Domenico Stakes, giving Snitzel another stakes-winning double on a Saturday. Bought for $350,000 by China Horse Club and Newgate Bloodstock, In the Congo is from champion South African mare Via Africa. And the win by Coastwatch in the Ming Dynasty Quality rounded off an excellent day for the Inglis team and their clients, with the son of Fastnet Rock from the Encosta de Lago mare Bullion Mansion, a half-brother to Caulfield Guineas winner Mighty Boss. Coastwatch was bought for $750,000 from Coolmore Stud at the remote 2020 Inglis Easter sale by Guy Mulcaster. A few weeks ago on Bred to Win, we brought you Yulong Farm's new Blue Diamond winning stallion Tagaloa. They also stand the current champion Australian sire Written Tycoon, and this season they welcome Lucky Vega, their first Group 1 winner anywhere in the world. Having seen the huge investment Yusheng Zhang has made around the world, it was so exciting to see the Yulong colours win an international Group 1 with Lucky Vega. There was so much planning and effort that went into that thrilling win in the Phoenix Stakes, wasn't there?
It was a big thrill for Mr. Zhang and all our team here at Yulong to see Lucky Vega win that Group 1 Phoenix Stakes by a huge margin. A 3.5 lengths was phenomenal, so everything fell into place for us.
Well, going back to the beginning of his racing career, he was a winner on debut in Ireland, and of course in the Australian market that's just so important, isn't it?
That's right. Purchased by Mr. Zhang in conjunction with Michael Donoghue for €180,000 and sent to Jessica Harrington and her team to be trained. It was great to see that paid off with him winning on debut and showing so much talent early. He then went on to run second, beaten narrowly in a Group 2 at his second start.
It is Lucky Vega who has raced to the front in the Canelan Phoenix Stakes.
And then the Phoenix Stakes, as I touched on at the start. I mean, what a dominant victory that was. Just explain the feeling amongst the Yulong team, Mr. Zhang and his family. This is a race won by breed shapers such as Danehill Dancer and Johannesburg, from who descends the Scat Daddy line. It just means so much, doesn't it?
That's right. It's a huge thrill to win any Group 1 race, let alone purchase a yearling. Our team purchase a yearling ourselves and then follow through right the way through and produce a colt that can win such a dominant stallion making race. The whole team was ecstatic. There was a lot of text messages sent around congratulating everyone in the early hours of the morning.
So how do you compare that win in the Phoenix Stakes to an Australian 2-year-old Group 1 winner in their first season at stud? What do you say to mare owners about just how incredible that win was for Lucky Vega from a stallion point of view?
Australian breeders are really excited for Lucky Vega to come down here. Being a son of Lope De Vega and the first Group 1 winning son of Lope De Vega to stand in Australia, we're very fortunate. Lope De Vega only stood down here briefly for 4 seasons, but in that time he produced 4 Group 1 winners. Gitra, Santa Ana Lane, Vega Magic and Vega 1. Gitra and Santa Ana Lane are both out of Fastnet Rock mares, with Vega Magic's maternal granddam also by Dane Windsor. He's worked really well with Danehill Line mares, and breeders are really excited that they can breed a Fastnet Rock or a Danehill Line mare to him and hopefully get a good result.
Supremacy is nothing if not game in front from Lucky Vega, and Supremacy is supreme in the middle park.
Lucky Vega has a chance as well, and these 4 are pulling clear now.
And of course he did perform in the greatest of company, in the English 2000 guineas, the Irish 2000 guineas. He didn't have the best of luck. And the fabulous Royal Ascot stage, it was only the champion colt Poetic Flair who stood between Lucky Vega and victory in the St James's Palace Stakes. So brilliant seeing the green and white checks performing so well in these big features.
It's always a big thing to see these Group 1 winning 2-year-olds train on, and although he didn't get to salute, he ran third first up at Newmarket in the 2000 guineas before going on to the Curragh, where it was obviously a heavy 10. It was blowing a gale and absolutely bucketing down, so to see him come back at Royal Ascot in the St James Palace Stakes and run a very, very gallant second was a huge thrill for all our team.
Lucky Vega's dam is by Cape Cross. He's the sire of champions such as Ouija Board, Golden Horn, Sea Change, See the Stars. So you really are combining the best blood in the world.
That's right. He's got some beautiful bloodlines and also that making him an outcross to Danehill. So again, just a very easy horse to mate a mare to.
And as you mentioned, there is the most beautiful quality about him, isn't there? I mean, that stunning aristocratic head and his strength. He's just a magnificent type.
He's 15.3 hands high, commanded a price tag of €180,000 as a yearling, so he's obviously a beautiful physical. He's got a lot of strength, quality, he moves very well, and I'm very excited for breeders to see him.
He's a stunning individual, Lucky Vega, and in future weeks we'll bring you more international stallions coming to Australasia this season. Coming up on Bred to Win, the Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week, and G1 Goldmine's Matthew Ennis explaining how statistics can help you breed for racetrack success.
Bred to Win, supported by Prized Icon, a Group 1 winner of 2 and Derby winner of over $2 million, standing at Coringal Stud in 2021.
Probabeel up to chassis at the 100.
It's impossible not to have the Cochrane Stakes success of the mighty Probeel at Caulfield in Melbourne as the Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week. The daughter of Savabeel from the Pins mare Far Fetched, three-time Group 1 winner Probeel added the Group 3 contest to her honour roll. Probeel spelled at Cambridge Stud since the autumn, and in this vision from Brendan Lindsay you can see how much she enjoyed her break. The winner of over $3.2 million is on target for a big spring as one of Australasia's most popular race mares, given her career started back in 2018 and included a Karaka Millions 2-year-old success, along with her 3 Group 1 wins, the Epsom, Surround and the Futurity Stakes. Probeel featured in our NZB yearling sale preview at Waikato Stud in New Zealand before she went through the Karaka sales ring. She was sold to David Ellis and Tiakau Racing for $380,000 before being on-sold to Brendan and Joe Lindsay, in whose gold and black colours she's carried to such great success on both sides of the Tasman. You will have seen on Bred to Win in recent months some of the stallion matchups that create great success. So how is that research done by G1 Goldmine? I caught up with Matthew Ennis to look at the science behind the stats that help mare owners and stallion farms breed for success. Well, Matthew, G1 Goldmine is a fantastic tool for people that want to breed, ideally a stakes winner if they can, and matching up the mares with the right stallions going on past data. But tell me your background with G1 Goldmine and you know, how you became involved.
Well, we started racing horses about 7 years ago, and we used the product, and the product presented us with a lot of success. So we were in a position where we tried to acquire it and we were successful. There was a real opportunity I saw that gave future breeders and buyers an opportunity to increase their chances of producing or buying a better racehorse.
The main thing seems to be just an incredible amount of statistical information that's drawn together on what's worked in the past. How's the whole program developed, and how much, you know, how do you actually make that work? There's so much data involved.
There is, and that's probably the hardest, the difficult thing. Is we've got an automatic API that delivers around 50,000 runners per week into the system. And then we have to match those runners with 12 generations of data, which in itself is really difficult. And each runner has about 54 different data points that we're tracking. So then that gets put into the system, and then an algorithm basically decides on what data to produce for the individual user, depending on what they're inputting into the system.
So take us through, if someone just gets on your website and they want to look at, you know, the stallion match, for instance, or stallion affinity, what are some of the key things that they will find, and sort of explain a little bit about what the information will tell them?
So Stallion Match is our most popular product by far. There's over 1 million searches done a year on Stallion Match. And when you do a Stallion Match, you can enter your mare and you can see past stakes winning performance with any stallion that you choose. So essentially it compares the hypothetical pedigree of your mare and that stallion, and it looks for similar patterns within the stakes winning community. And then it produces a list of those stakes winners, along with how similar their pedigree is to your hypothetical, along with an aptitude profile, which basically tracks the distance and age success for those stakes winners. The
aptitude profile I find fascinating too, because a horse, you might be putting a sprinter to a sprinter, but they might come out with the bigger dots on the miler. You know, it's quite fascinating going on historical data.
It is, and as we increase the level of data that we're having, that only makes that aptitude profile even more accurate. And it certainly shows the likelihood of whether you're breeding or buying, the likelihood of the distance for that particular horse, and the expected age. So when you'll start seeing a return on your investment.
Which is so important, I guess, with people with horses that are thinking it might be an out-and-out 2-year-old and they think it's just slow, but it's actually taking time to develop as it's been profiled.
Definitely. I mean, even us today, yesterday we had a horse, Verdier, 2-year-old, but we definitely know that she's going to be a late 3-year-old. So there's a push to try and get your horse running early, but if the pedigree suggests otherwise, then there's really there's no reason why you need to be pushing your trainers, we feel anyway.
And you can analyse pedigrees in a sales catalogue. Explain a bit about that, because that's just a great tool for prospective buyers looking at, say, lot 321 or whatever it happens to be able to analyse, you know, what that horse might be.
Yeah, and this is exactly how I was introduced into G1 Goldmine. So we were at a yearling sale. We did a catalogue analysis ourselves, and we're presented with an impact profile. So the impact profile looks at 20 key crosses within a pedigree, and it determines how successful each cross has been. Now we produce, or the algorithm produces, a number, and that number represents how successful against the computer's expectations. So we might put in a 3, or the computer puts in a 3, and that means it's 3 times, or it's been 3 times more successful than the computer expected it to be, which has been a really good indicator. We also have obviously a negative cross as well. So the negative suggests that that particular cross has underperformed expectations.
Yeah, and it's updated constantly, as you say, through racing data.
Weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we can shorten that down.
Yeah. And then the green and gold colours, explain a little bit about that in that table.
So anything that's received a 4 or less, that gets a green cell. So a green cell means it's a good affinity. So it's outperforming expectation, and the gold is what we call a super affinity. So a super affinity is exploded expectation, and obviously it's something that should be sought within your pedigrees.
And how does it work with a stud farm? I mean, so many stallion websites, you know, you've done a great job in getting all the studs on board. They'll have the G1 Goldmine logo, you know, next to each stallion or on their stallion page. How does a mare owner make use of that information?
Farms have sponsored their stallions, so they've been able to put that link on their website. And by sponsoring it, they're effectively making it free for any breeder to search and try and match their mare to that particular stallion. So you can go onto any of the studs websites, Coolmore, Aquis, anyone, and click on the particular stallion that might interest you, go through to Stallion Match, and then you can perform that search yourself by entering your mare.
I mean, that's the whole thing, isn't it? I mean, the fact that the studs are getting behind you, and there are so many more than the couple you've just mentioned.
No, the studs have been fantastic. They're a huge support, and we're continuing our relationship with all the farms and trying to make it a little bit more of a two-way street. They've given us a lot to start off with, so now we're trying to return the favour.
And obviously, you know, in cahoots with Mitchell Bloodstock, I mean, you're finding out too what a bloodstock agent would want to know as well. I mean, there's so much that for years and years Bloodstock agents or trainers or people buying horses have had to do, you know, going through, poring over catalogue pages and old history and so on, results. But it's such a big thing to be able to service that sort of an area of the industry as well.
Bill and James, we've known them for a long, long time, and it's really opened up our eyes, and my eyes in particular, to what they look for in a horse. They've been fantastic because they've helped give us feedback on the product and the importance that data plays in making a decision. I need to make it very clear that, you know, choosing to breed or buy a horse, data isn't everything. You know, obviously they're natural animals, and conformation and type plays, you know, a major role, but so does data. And I think it's that revolution's occurring, and the opportunity in data, people are seeing the advantages of that, certainly.
And so farms, stallion farms or studs that actually want to get involved with G1 Goldmine and offer this information, I mean, what would you say to them as far as the advantage it gives when people want to know more about their stallions?
There's a real need and a real passion for the breeder that wants some assistance in determining which stallion is best for them. I think that farms are open to any ideas, and at the end of the day, they want to breed a better racehorse because it supports their stallion ultimately when it hits the track. What I'd say to the stud farms is don't be scared of data. The data will support your stallion ultimately. There's always data to support your stallion. It's just finding the right match.
So you'd be advising like anyone just to go and have a look. I mean, it's just such a great website, and it's brilliantly set out. It's really easy to look at and not very expensive either for people that want to actually use your data professionally. I mean, if you're breeding horses, you know, $900 or so for the professional profiling is just a drop in the ocean.
Yeah, so we've got these two different packages that we've got, just the standard hobbyist user and then the professional, which is what you mentioned. I think there's definitely value in the memberships. The Pro is all access, so you have access to every facet of the site, every feature that we have. New features are rolled out continuously, and for the farms it's only $400 to sponsor their stallion, and they open up a whole new sales funnel. There's huge amounts of value in both products.
Quite fascinating and well worth looking at the stud websites to match up your mare and see what comes back. And we thank Matthew Ennis and the team at G1 Goldmine for their support of Bred to Win. Coming up on the show after the break, an Epsom Derby winner by the great Dancing Brave, with Phil Marshall from Widden Stud in Victoria in Arrowfield Studs, the horse who made you love racing.
Bred to Win, supported by Hanover Lodge, preparing the elite racehorse. This segment brought to you by Arrowfield Stud, the brand worth its weight in gold.
Slightly left field, Caroline, and I'm not sure how many people would remember him, but he's a horse called Commander-in-Chief. He was a horse that I was only very young and followed whenever he raced. I think it was the first ever bet that my father put on for me in the Epsom Derby when he won. He's a horse that made me catch the bug, as it were, and I was always fascinated with all Juddmonte horses when I was growing up. I loved their silks, I still do to today, but Commander-in-Chief is the horse that I will always remember being the first horse to really latch me onto this great sport. Once you've been bitten by the bug, that stays with you forever. And there's a lot of great things that happen in this industry, whether it's a horse that you've prepped in a yearling sale that sells for big money, goes on to win a big race, or whether it's a horse you've got a very small share in that wins a maiden in the bush. It's just a great sport to be involved in, and some of the thrills you get, you don't get anywhere else. And you can get a thrill from the very, very smallest of things to some of the very biggest things in this sport. And that's why I think it's such a great industry and appeals to everyone.
There's our winner, Commander-in-Chief.
That's it for this week's Bred to Win. Good luck for a wonderful spring to all the thoroughbred breeders, and we'll be back next week with another packed show, including the tough multiple Group 1 winning son of Deep Impact, Fierce Impact, well and truly settled in at Leneva Park for the new season. That's next week on Bred to Win. I'm Caroline CSC. Look forward to seeing you then.
Bred to Win, brought to you by Inglis Digital, the tried, trusted and reliable market for online sales.